Hello, everybody. It is me, What is my name? It's me, Demetra K, and I'm sitting here with Donovan. I think he's frozen. He literally was just moving around. But anyway, I am Demetra K, and this is Donovan, the recovering Democrat Sadiq, also known as the Black Yule Brenner. And this is the Demetra K Show, where we promote Black love, knowledge, and understanding of all things that go on in the Black community to make us even better people, with the emphasis on even, because we're great people, but we can always strive to do better. Like I said, Big Giant, thank you, hello, and welcome to YouTube and Facebook. You are the other side of the conversation. And not only are you viewers, you are family. And sometimes I share the link. If I share the link and your profile looks like this, show me this. And if you're not comfortable, you can go back to that. Just know, especially if I've never seen you on here before, I must see your face. Also, in the comment section, it's not that we disagree, it is how we disagree. So let's be as respectful as possible. And the same thing goes for us here on the panel. Today, we're going to be talking about the Black misleadership will use Trump closing the Job Corps to push propaganda. You could best believe it. I'm going to get into it, draw a correlation the best I can with that. Let's see who's on here before I give it to Donovan. Brother Reggie, how you doing? S. Edgy, what's going on with you? S. Williams, how you doing? Monet and Average Avenge the Ancestors. Hope you're doing well. Yes, indeed. Kat, how you doing? EW49, what's going on? ARE Radio, long time no see. Hope you're doing well. And Candy, I shall say, I didn't think I was coming on here today because I was at the Astros game. My good friend is visiting from town. He and his son, but they got up early to catch a flight. So, they're taking a nap. So I said, oh, well, I have nothing to do. I'll go live. See, the universe works for those who, I don't know, something, whatever. But nevertheless, Clifford, how you doing? Donovan, what's going on with you?
Well, what's going on with me is you guys missed it, the Black Expo. You guys missed a show. Demetra K was getting down like she was in the funky brown town. She was getting out there, doing it, enjoying herself, and well-deserved. You guys did an excellent job out there. The Expo was a very big success. A lot of stars came out. And you guys communicating with your little section of the people that came out to your section. Great stuff out there. And for those of you guys that did come out to see Demetra K in person, she was dressed very appropriately. Like I told her, this is not a city girl function. Had her little nice navy blue print outfit, just doing her thing out there. So I was very, very proud to see her, Vicky Delway, Brother Phil Scott, everybody out there still educating the people, because you guys, we've got midterms coming up, so we have a long way to go. So it isn't finished. And a little bit about what we're going to talk about today has to do with the upcoming political season that is actually happening. I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat. White supremacy is white supremacy. Do not be fooled. They work together, good cop and bad cop. So since you guys are here, thank you guys for joining us. If it's 3 p.m. here in California on the West Coast, that means it's Demetra K time. And another way you can join and meet Demetra K is on the African Diaspora News Channel app. You can get that on Google Play, Apple Store. There, you're also going to get information that's going on in regards to the whole African diaspora. You guys, I just talked to a friend of mine who didn't even know anything about the Black statue in New York City. I referred her to it. She was appalled. But this is what I'm talking about. There's a lot of us that are so distracted, we don't even know what's going on in the African diaspora. How many of you guys know today, Ukraine, just before their meeting, just bombed inside of Russia, 3,000 miles inside of Russia via drones and bombs, and just, I think it's $8 billion worth of damage that was done. How does that affect the African diaspora? It does affect the African diaspora. Why? Because Russia supports a lot of Black nations on the African continent. African Diaspora News Channel app, you can get it on Apple Play, Google Play, Apple Store. So please go over there and check that out. And for those of you guys that want to continue to keep these great conversations going, you guys see that scrolling banner down there in the red? It says, please donate. If you guys so wish to donate and keep these conversations going, there's a way you guys can do it. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, Cash, money order, all that other great stuff. This actually motivates the content creator, and we keep these great conversations going. And for those of you guys that have been supporting us from day one and even day 3, 8, 6,000, you guys are really, really appreciated. So, Demetra, let's get into this conversation and let's see what our co-hosts, you guys, have to say about it.
Yes, indeed. And thank you so much, Donovan. So, yes, if you guys have been following the news, and I kind of have been here and there, but I did see this as a major trending headline that the Trump administration, they are closing the Job Corps that has been around since the mid 60s. Now, it was started by the Lyndon B. Johnson administration. It was part of the Economic Opportunity Act of 1964. Now, the purpose of it is to provide a free education and vocational training program in the United States designed to help young people from the ages of 16 to 24 improve the quality of their lives through academic and career technical training. Now, the key facts, it says purpose to help disadvantaged youth gain the skills needed for employment, higher education, and the military. And the services that they offer, they can get their GED or their diploma, vocational training, trades like healthcare, construction, IT, job placement assistant, housing, meals, healthcare, and at no cost to the participants. So it's totally free. Again, it's for low income Americans ages 16 to 24. And let's see here. What else is it? So it was part of President Johnson's War on Poverty. And again, the Economic Opportunity Act of 1964. Now it is currently under the Department of Labor. Okay, so the U.S. Department of Labor has announced a nationwide suspension of operations at all contractor-operated Job Corps centers effective by June 30th. So it started today, where you see on the news a lot of these, I guess, facilities all over the country have started to shut down. They basically sent people home. And you guys are going to see a video in just a second. Now, I said the decision follows an internal review that uncovers significant concerns regarding the program's financial sustainability, safety, and effectiveness. So they said that they were having some financial issues. Says it operated at a $140 million deficit, with projections indicating a potential increase to $213 million in 2025. So they're saying that it keeps on operating at a loss, for lack of better words. Okay. Now, it says the average cost per graduate was reported to be up to $155,000, surpassing the average cost of a 4-year college education. Now, also some safety concerns. It says an internal review revealed a high number of serious incidents reported, including instances of violence, SA, if you will, and drug use, raising concerns about participant safety within the program. And this is the things that they're saying they found. Low graduation rate is at a 38.6%, with many graduates entering low-wage positions, averaging about $17,000 a year, calling into the question the program's effectiveness in achieving its intended outcome. So going in there, I guess, spending $155,000 per student, and they're going out to make $17,000 a year. Well, that sounds like a college degree. Anyway, I digress. It says the suspension affects approximately 25,000 students enrolled across 123 centers nationwide. The Department of Labor is coordinating with state and local workforces to partner to assist current students in advancing their training and connecting them with education and employment opportunities during this transition. Now, of course, this suspension has bipartisan pushback. So basically on both sides of the aisles, where politicians, Republicans and Democrats are like, wait a minute now, what are we doing? Because it's supposed to help disadvantaged youth, right? Now, I should also say that I looked into it, and the demographics, as far as race is concerned, with Job Corps, 50% Black, and then 26% white, and then the others, fall in between there. So it mostly is going to affect young Black people, Americans here. So I'm going to show y'all actually 2 videos, because I want to draw a correlation between what the Trump administration is doing. And, I think it's kind of messed up. I don't know how true all this stuff is as to why they're closing it. Maybe it has something to do with Doge and, them cutting the fat. Now, a lot of people are saying, oh, well, they're trying to get rid of Job Corps to give billionaires, more of a tax break. That's some of the arguments that I heard. But watch this video, and then I'm going to show y'all another one. I'll get back into the comment section.
Let's go to the wreck at about 1:30, and they broke the news to us, and they had us go to the dorms, pack our stuff.
The staff on site would not say a word to us, but sources tell us it was shut down after recent cuts at the Department of Labor, which oversees the program.
I didn't want him to be a statistic, so I wanted him to be focused and get his education.
16-year-old Carlton Davis lived here, and his mom recently lost their house, and there's more.
I have breast cancer surgery next week, so now I'm debating having my surgery canceled so I can make sure my son is okay.
I'm livid. I am livid. I cannot believe this.
Community activist Pastor Mo trying to help out here after getting calls from frantic mothers. He's worried about the short and long-term solutions for these kids.
The ones who are trying to get it right. This is why I'm so pissed off. These are not kids are in a youth home who got caught in a crime. These are kids who are trying to avoid getting caught in a crime.
Okay, so I'm going to take them down. So that's just a small snippet of a lot of people who are taking to the internet and doing interviews and stuff. You know, like the lady said, I have breast cancer and I was going to go have a surgery, but I have to maybe put that off because now I got to take care of my son. Now, admittedly, a lot of people who do go to Job Corps, they may be at risk, you know, from getting in trouble and things like that. And, you know, looking for opportunity to go do other things in life. So again, it has been suspended. It sounds like it's going to come to a screeching halt finally by the end of this month, which is June, right? June 1st. This year is going by kind of fast. Now, as I was listening to all of this, I think about people like your Reverend Al Sharptons and your Jamal Bryant, you know, those misleaderships and all the other Democrats, but specifically your Jamal Bryant and them, because as you guys may or may not know, he and Al Sharpton, they're going on this Target boycott because Trump is getting rid of DEI, and he's asking the corporation to do the same, and a lot of corporations have done it. Sounds like Dollar General is doing it, and Target and Walmart and a whole bunch of other stores. So Pastor Jamal Bryant, he started the 40-day fast of Target where, you know, people were supposed to abstain from Target for 40 days. Now, admittedly, it has cost Target a lot of money. The CEO has to have to take a pay cut. Target has admitted, yes, the boycott has put a big dent in what we're doing, even to the tune of wanting to meet with Al Sharpton. But then it sounds like Al Sharpton and Jamal Bryant kind of maybe bumped heads a little bit because they kind of inserted themselves in it, because it's kind of something that kind of started on the internet or whatever the case is. So I'm going to show y'all a video of Jamal Bryant on CNN talking about this new boycott, and then I'm going to give you my tie into this. So check it out.
I just wanted to put an asterisk of what happens when our community mobilizes and stays focused. We have canceled Target with 13 weeks in and decided we shouldn't have to grovel for respect when we give $12 million a day. We chose Dollar General because, quite frankly, as you just aforementioned, they're 3 times larger than Target and Walmart combined and have never given to any organization within the Black community. Dollar General is within 5 miles of 75% of Americans' homes and still no accountability. They are a contributor to food deserts, not just in absence of food, but absence of fairness. And so we wanted to hold them accountable.
Now, I know your approach is a bit different than what you did with Target. Yeah. So in this case, you know, in Target, obviously, it was a boycott of actual purchases. In this case, you're also asking people to inundate Dollar General with calls, with messages, as opposed to an outright boycott of its stores. So explain why. Why is Dollar General different than Target?
Because Dollar General has really done predatory practices in rural communities. A lot of people, when they think about African Americans, it's urban, but we forget about those who are in rural areas. And the inundation of a Dollar General is in communities of 20,000 or less. And regrettably, they stand as the only portal for people to get access to food and vegetation. And so for those communities who that is their only option, we don't want to cause further damage. But in urban areas, we're asking them to stay away and everybody to call and to email.
Okay, so let me remove Pastor Jamal Lyon. Okay, so I wanted to tie those two in together because y'all, he used a lot of language. So basically, he's going on to explain why he is now shifting his focus to Dollar General because, you know, they don't give back and this, that, and the other. He says, no longer should we grovel for respect. And I'm like, well, nobody should have to grovel for respect, dear pastor. If y'all dig in your tithes and offering bucket and then pour that back into the community, why are you asking people in the community to beg white folks to do what you could be doing? Because the church has seen over $500 billion since the 1980s. And now when I say the church, I mean the black church has seen that kind of money, right? I'm sure Jamal Bryant don't step out of his house into no food desert. I would even ask, when is the last time he's been to a Dollar General? Probably hasn't been there himself to go buy something to eat, right? Or anything. I'm sure he shops top of the line, okay? And he also says, well, you know, there's all these food deserts and they're partially responsible for it because, yeah, they're in black neighborhoods. There's typically your Dollar Trees, Dollar Generals, you know, the liquor stores, convenience stores, not really a Whole Foods or Kroger, Stater Brothers, Rouse, wherever you live, right? But I'm like, sir, you're talking about a food desert? Again, with all that money that the black church sees, y'all can't build one grocery store in the black community with all of those churches. Y'all can't say, hey, let's meet in the middle and let's take some of the money from our tithes and offering and let's build a black grocery store so these people won't have to keep, as he says, groveling to white folks, right? Because he's shaking these corporations down and asking them to do for, you know, black people what the church really should also be. I'm not saying it's all on the church, but they should be doing it too, right? And then he also says, oh, well, we need to hold them accountable. First of all, brother, who is this we? And who put you in a position to hold them accountable? And who's going to hold you accountable? Again, he says that what New Birth in Georgia, Eddie Long's old church, you know, he took over after Eddie Long died. And I know they see a pretty penny. Who's going to hold you and your other homies, you know, Al Sharpton too? Who's going to hold y'all accountable? Y'all holding all these corporations accountable. And I wonder how much they getting from doing it, right? When they go have these little secret meetings, allegedly. Then he talks about predatory practices. Ain't that what the church does a lot? Isn't the church very predatory? How about this? Would a man rob God? Oh, sow a seed of faith. I know it may be your last dollar, sister so-and-so, but just believe God gonna be there in the midst. You know, like, nah, I don't know if he in there in the midst because my lights is off. I can't see him, right? So nothing is more predatory than that. So my thing is, Pastor Jamal Bryant and Al Sharpton and all of them need to shift their focus from shaking down Target and Dollar General and all these other stores and saying, okay, bet the Job Corps is leaving now. We're going to have all these black youth back on the streets with nothing to do, not being able to find a job because most of them probably didn't even get their GED or the diploma yet, and they're going to get into trouble. So we need to be there as a safety net to catch them so that they don't fall. But I'm saying they're going to use this as a talking point because it's another thing they're going to throw out to black people to keep us emotional, right? Keep us mad. Yeah, Trump. I'm not saying it's not messed up that they're doing it. I think it's wrong to allow, you know, all those children to disperse and they're young adults without nothing to do when they were going to go do something. But at what point do we as the black community start doing for self and say, okay, you know what? It's jacked up what the Trump administration is doing. At the midterms, we can vote these senators and Congress people out or whatever the case is that's not doing their job. But in the meantime, we all we got and we need to do for self. So anyway, I'm going to get into the comment section after Donovan.
I don't know what to say even after that. That was one of the first things that I said when looking at the video of Pastor Bryant. Here's a guy that has a salary of over $500,000 from that very church and all the side pieces he can have. And I don't see him dip into his pocket with all the money that the church generates over the last 30, 40, 60 years and help build the community. You got all these churches right across the street or right next door to all these liquor stores, and they're not opening their coffers, and the pastors are living good lives. And, you know, I'm not really necessarily coming down on the pastors themselves, but I'm just saying make it make sense. Their kids go to private school. They live in the gated communities, and they come into the lower in communities to fleece the sheep. So, you know, I get with what he's trying to do, but I think it's very, very hypocritical. And also, I want to say this. All of this stuff that's happening, these food deserts, whatever the problem is that we are missing, and I know I'm freezing up, that we are missing in the Black community. It's 92 degrees here, dry heat. But I'm in my nice, cool house.
We can hear you.
Okay, good. All these areas, okay? See, this is the thing. We complain about liquor stores in our community, gun stores in our community, weed stores in our community, food deserts in our community. How many of you guys show up for your city's planning commission? Local level. None of those stores would be in your community if you would show up and tell them what you want in your community. But no, we don't take responsibility for what we're supposed to be doing as thriving citizens in our community. We rely on these other people who constantly take our money, take our leadership, take our dollars, and benefit themselves and don't do nothing for the community. In my community, the Mexicans have taken over, illegal and legal. And they've got activists that go and tell the planning commission what they want. My city is 210,000 people and counting. LA immigrants coming right in here and people from the border. Do you guys know how many soccer fields we have in my city? Do you guys know how many indoor basketball courts we have in my city? We have one indoor basketball court. I can't tell you how many soccer fields we have. But we're always complaining and doing all this other stuff. Like I said, at the end of the day, we have to take responsibility from the grassroots. When are we going to take responsibility? Obviously, the church ain't going to do anything. And you guys aren't holding the church accountable because you let the pastor be on the different boards to run the church, which should not happen. So I'm not surprised by this. It's more pandering and BS and bullcrap. But it is what it is because we allow. But I want to hear what you guys have to say because you guys might have a better perspective than me. But all I know is when I go to city council, there's 4 blacks that show up. 4 in a town of 211,000 citizens. 4 black people show up. 2 of them sit on the dais.
Brother Reggie. But yeah, no, you're right, Donovan. The planning committee, state and local elections is where it counts. That's coming up, and some of people are having them even now. Definitely next year, 2026, there's a lot of people are up for re-election, a lot of Congress people, your representatives and things like that. So you have to show up. When I say you, I mean we have to show up to those elections because those are the people that will hold the president accountable and say, hey, yo, no, we're not going to pass that bill. No, I'm beholden to my constituents. I know that there's consequences if I sit back and just, allow you to do whatever you want to do. I may not be here next time is up for re-election. So I need to make sure that my people aren't getting harmed by the things that you're trying to do, right? So we definitely got to start paying more attention to the state and local elections. Of course, your judges are there, your sheriffs, your DA, city council, city planning, mayor, you name it. They're there. I'm waiting for somebody to show up and elect them. And a lot of times those people get in because sometimes they're unchallenged and enough people don't show up. The state and local levels where the least amount of people show up to vote. So we just need to keep that in mind.
Yeah, I got one question for you guys and for you, Demetra. What is the Democratic response or plan to counter this? Because I remember when Mitch McConnell was in office and he was in the minority, he used every trick in the book that he could to thwart the Democratic agenda. So my question to you and you guys out there, ask yourself, what is the Democrats' plan? It seems to me their plan is we're just going to sit on our hands, let everything get shut down. It's going to get so bad and people are going to get so pissed off, they're going to vote us back into office. But notice when and if you guys vote them back into office, they're not going to bring these programs back. Good cop, bad cop.
Well, absolutely. Like you said, what's their plan other than running around screaming and hollering and trying to bust into, immigrant ICE facilities and things like that. Hey, Tracy, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Let's see who else is on here. I see you, Magneta. How you doing? Monet said Dollar Generals everywhere. They pop up overnight in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, they are everywhere. But like this, I think her name is Erin. She asked Jamal, well, what about these food deserts where that's what all there is there? You're trying to boycott them to the point of what they go out of business. And like I said, I live in Houston, and there's the majority of workers that are in these Walmarts and Targets are Black, right? So you boycott them, they lose their jobs. Then what? Are we going to provide jobs for them because we're mad because they cut DEI and stop giving white women the advantage? You know what I mean? So you're going to harm Black people who are working at these places to help white women get more of what they already have? It makes no sense, Alex, how you doing? Says, did the Honorable Elijah Muhammad warn us about consequences? Show did and did. Let's see. Tracy says tithes is about harvests, not giving to the church for the pastors or whatever luxuries. Yep, true indeed. And Frank, he said this is just to make it harder for our youth to get good careers. And also, if they need to put people in those beds in those prisons. They say, oh, they're not privatized anymore. Oh, yes, they are, because the private companies, if you will, they're the middleman for the prisons between the government and the prisons. That those people still serve as the middleman. So they still have investors, and so they need to keep people in those beds. And so you kick all those young people out on the street. Some of them probably will get into trouble and do something to go to jail, and they'll keep them in there for a very long time. So this is all part of it. And I don't care who's in office, whether it's a Republican or a Democrat. They all fuel the school to prison pipeline, or the prison pipeline in general. So let's not be confused about that. Magnetter says tithing was Old Testament. Yes, indeed. Fresh Air says urban vertical farming. Okay. And yeah, average logical thinker, how you doing? One who cares what's going on with you. Michelle, what's up? You said, sad to say the Black church has played a part in keeping Black communities poor. They take advantage of single women. Yeah, they want the woman to be single. In fact, it does say in the Bible, it's better that you be single because you can serve the Lord without having to, and I'm paraphrasing, without having to worry about a family and a husband. You can run freely onto serving the Lord, per se. And you're right. A lot of those pastors, they do prey on the single women in the church, right? And Keisha, how you doing? Says, yes, in my neighborhood, the market closed down and now it's a church, right? And like, how many churches do y'all already got in that neighborhood, right? Like, geez. Missions Vision, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Let's see. Steven, how you doing? Tell your wife I said hello. Frank says, I see us so-called Black people, quote unquote, he said desensitized. So we're so desensitized, we think like the white man, shaking my head. Yeah, and we need to unlearn that, right? Brother Reddy says, oh, Al told Pastor Jamal this grifting ain't big enough. Exactly. I'm out. Pretty much. They had some disagreement, right? I think, I don't know, Jamal felt like Al Sharpton was stepping on his toes and then Jamal grifted the idea from other people too, right? All right, let's see who else is on here.
Okay, can I add this too? I know times are getting hard for a lot of people and people want to go out and they want to have a good time, right? Those of us, Jesse Paris is known as Che Nakaruma. He goes to his city council meeting. I'm sure a lot of you guys go to your city council meetings. But as you guys know, and Jesse, please in the chat, tell me if I'm lying. If you guys want some really good entertainment and you want to go to this is better than a comedy store, go to your city council meeting and just listen to the general comments, that people could speak on anything, and you will be highly entertained. Demetra went to my city council, and let me tell you, it was everything and all of that. Okay.
And then some, a 3-ring circus, to say the least. The truth is this one. How you doing? It says New Birth Church operates by what their master tells them to do and keeps collecting poor people's money for personal use. The Black church is stealing from its members all the time. And there's some Black churches that do a good job, but for the most part, I think a lot of them are just getting over. But you shaking down the white man and his businesses when you getting all that money coming in and out of your church doors, and you shaking down white man, talk about what you need to be held accountable. No, you need to be held accountable. Like, how dare you? That's called hypocrisy. And I know the Bible speaks about it. Brother Don, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Frankie says, and these black gatekeepers are the problem. And let's see here. Mr. South Carolina, how you doing? Says, when Democrats had Senate, Congress, White House, what kind of law could they have passed to help people? Examples. So you says, when Democrats had the Senate, Congress, White House, what kind of laws could they have passed? I mean, you name it. The Democrats, especially during Obama, and I believe Biden, he had them, all of them for a while. They okay, listen. So I hear that question is like, well, what could they have done? Well, think about the things that they did do. They passed the Asian hate crime bill. Obama passed a lot of LGBTQ legislation. He passed a lot of DACA, help immigrants. He passed legislation to help police officers and a whole host of other things. During the Obama administration, they gave reparation to the Jewish community, So in that, what's missing from that is, well, what did you do for Black people? Both administrations, they couldn't get in office without Black people. What did they do specifically for Black people? Oh, the answer is, we couldn't because they was obstructing us. And, Mitch McConnell and, the Christian, what are their names, Cinema or whatever, all these other Joe Manchin, they wouldn't let us. See, when it comes to us, we get all of that. But they have no
like problem. A parliamentarian.
Yeah. They have no problem passing legislation for nobody else, but then when you get asked about us, well, they wouldn't let us do it.
And I want you guys to think about this, lady. Everybody's worried about the right to delete their children, right? One of the main things Obama ran on was, he said on day one, he will codify Roe versus Wade into law. Then when he got elected, he did a press conference. Go back and look at his very first press conference as president-elect. He said, no, I'm not going to do that now. Once he got elected and he got his marching orders, everything that he had promised in the rights of women, he just totally backed off of it. What I mean by that is everybody's mad at Trump and the Republicans of repealing whatever they did to Roe versus Wade and putting it to the states. But ask yourself this, would that even be an issue if Obama had codified it into law? Democrat didn't do it. It wouldn't be an issue. But now it's an issue. So it's been done. So,
hey Tia, how you doing? So there was a terror attack in Boulder, Colorado, just an hour ago. Apparently, some persons were set on fire during a run for their lives walk. Oh my God! Yeah, I didn't hear anything about that. That's crazy. But I'll look into it when I get off of here. That is crazy. Yeah, it's crazy times for real, right? Let's see. As Edgy says, if I understand clearly, Donovan, Black folks got to create their own lobbies. Yeah, that's what Dr. Claude Anderson has been telling us to do forever, right? Okay, let's see. Let me skip down a little bit. Lynette, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. 48 TCO, what's going on with you? No, hope you're doing well. Brother Reggie says, Cory Booker out here. Yes, I saw that. Doing the Nazi salute. Where's the outrage? Not one liberal network talking about it. Yeah, I saw that. I see Elon has been posting about it since yesterday, right? Like, okay, when I do it, I'm, doing something offensive, but when he does it, it's nobody says anything about it. Absolutely. Hope Knight, how you doing? Says all the budget cuts are funding wars all over the world. And yes, there's a lot of them that's happening and a lot of them that seem like they're about to happen. So you may be on to something. Frank says the Democrats fight for illegals and the Republicans fight for the 1%. Yep, but they don't fight for us, right? Mr. Norris, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Says the problem with voting out bootleg blacks is that all Black politicians are bootlegs. That's all I've seen for 50 years. Every last one of them, even to this day, right? Every last one of them. So you're absolutely right. And Raven, how you doing? Let's see. Jesse, it says same thing in Denver, Colorado. Demetri K, majority of employees at Walmart are Black. Yeah, but you got Jamal Bryant and Al Sharpton and all these other people talking about boycotting. It's like, you're going to put these people out of jobs. Where they going to work? What are they supposed to do?
Right. And then think about this, Demetri. You brought all these illegal aliens into the country, and you gave them some form of status. They're here screwing, making anchor babies. What are our grandkids are going to have to compete against? These very people that are going to displace those Black jobs. That's what I'm saying. They got us in a trick bag. 106 Black women were fired in that jobs report alone. A significant decrease in the job market for Black women. And now you've got this stuff going on. And we know, like I said, I'm coming from California. We know that when Hispanic people get into a certain position, they hire their own and they do everything they can to move us out of our positions. They have got us in a trick bag and we don't know how to get out of it when the solution is very simple. Start paying attention to your local elections and your national, well, you already pay attention to national elections, but vet these candidates. If they are not doing the job and they've been sitting on their asses for 15, 20 years in the seat and have nothing to show for black people, that tells you right there that person doesn't deserve re-election.
Yes. Hey, Ernest, how you doing? Says black people don't have a community anymore thanks to the black misleadership. The Boule set their own self up for success and leave everybody else behind. It's time for a political revolution. You are absolutely right, but the gig is up, right? And they don't have the hold on the black community like they used to. They used to be considered the brains and giving us the talking points. But now, and when I say us, I just mean us as collectively. We're like, we're not listening to y'all anymore. The gig is up, gone somewhere, right? Go on and eat your butter biscuits in peace. And the one who cares says absolutely there are some real foolishness. Yes. And L, how you doing? Says why doesn't the black church start community job corps? There's enough money and enough churches to do so. Nah, because they want to shake down white corporations to get them to do it, right? They're talking about they need to be held accountable because they preying on the community. It's like, are you crazy? You piranha, you
how many of you guys remember Al Sharpton when he ran that scam with Tamara Brawley, whatever the girl was, whatever?
Yeah.
All Al Sharpton did is learn the game. He says, I'm getting peanuts here at this, grassroots stuff. If I can get the corporations in the big game, he's never looked back since. Remember, he was getting prosecuted by the government for tax evasion. They said, no, you know what? This guy is a good guy that can lead people astray. He hasn't looked back since. Again, look at all of these entertainers and stuff like that. Where is Jennifer Lewis? Where Michelle Obama? All this performative stuff. Magic Johnson. We haven't heard nothing from you. All these black people that were telling you to vote for Kamala that would have kept you asleep, and we would be in even a worse position. And we're not big upping the Republicans. But the fact of the matter is, when the Democrats get in office, you should be doing something to better the race. Other groups have that. The Hispanics say that a lot of times. Better the race. But here's the question. Charlie Rangel, and I said this on the show the other day, great veteran, Korean War vet, did a lot for his community, or in the military, I'm sorry. But ask yourself this. Look at all of these old black politicians. Did they leave their community better as they're dying out than when they came in? Charlie Rangel, all the praise these people want to give him, if you look at his record, he left black people in a worse position than when he first got there. I'm sorry to say that. He took Adam Clayton Powell's seat, and number one, he left in disgrace, and he left the community worse than when he got there. And that's the story of a lot of black politicians, if you look at their records.
Yeah, and I've said that before, and I'm actually going to do a story on African Diaspora News channel, I think, about Adam Clayton Powell Jr. being one of the last real ones. There's been some here and there, but Adam Clayton Powell Jr. was about that life. Okay, he was about helping the people in Harlem, right? He even had a moniker about himself. I won't say it on here, but he didn't have a problem saying it. He was like, I'm the baddest N-word in Harlem. Okay. That's what he said about himself. But yeah, of course, they finagled a lot of stuff and lied on him and said he did a whole bunch of stuff to get him out of there because he wouldn't play ball. He's like, nah, I'm here to help, my people. My people need shoes. I'm literally going to make sure they have some shoes. That's what he was about, right? So I don't think we hear enough about him. So I'm going to do a little small story about him. Anyway, let's see. Agent Black, I'm so glad that you're off just in time. EG, how you doing? You say exactly. Mission Vision says they're busy thinking about themselves. Yep. Michelle says TD Jake's daughter and husband is in Ghana. My question is why? I hope they're not trying to start a church in Ghana. Now, they're trying to start a church in Ghana. Maybe, right? And let's see. Fresh Air says go for all those jobs. Even black and white farms and ICE and Border Patrol. Okay. MC Fact, how you doing? Says young or old, it doesn't matter. Nothing is being done for blacks. Very true. Damon says facts. Those shine bones are unprincipled. Hold on. Jesse says just no. It says no. I just look at my city and our former mayor Hancock. I call him he completely gentrified our black community out here in East Denver. The whole 12 years he was in office. Yeah, that's what I say too about Atlanta. They're talking about how it is the #1 gentrified city, I think, in America. And I'm like, well, it's had predominantly, if not almost all black misleadership. They've had a black mayor since 1973. So you really, I mean, yeah, the white people gonna go there, but how are they going there? You had John Lewis there. You had all these black politicians and mayors and this, that, and the other, and y'all talking
Maynard
about
Jackson. He was probably the one realest one that brought a lot of jobs in the late 70s. But outside of him, it hasn't been much.
Yeah, so you had all this black misleadership there, and you talking about the gentrification that's going on. It's like, well, whose fault is that really? When are y'all going to hold yourselves accountable for voting them in and keeping them in? Case in point, Fonnie Willis. She's the the DA in Fulton County or whatever, but they reelected her after watching her waste all that money, and another white politician called them out because Trump is asking the people of Fulton County to pay his legal bills. He's suing. So, of course, why should we have to do it? And a white politician, I can't remember his name, but he was like, they're going to pay it because they shouldn't have voted her in. They reelected her after she wasted all that money on the YSL trial, the most expensive trial in the case of history of Georgia, in addition to sleeping with the help after giving her man all that money to pay to go prosecute Trump. You know what I mean? So it's like, y'all should be mad at yourselves because y'all knew this lady wasn't about that life, but then you put her back in office. So what are you really expecting here? So
Well, do you want to hear something crazy? Who's that lady that was, she was the mayor. She's running for governor now. She's thinking about running for governor. She was Bottoms. That's what I'm saying. Did you see how they keep rehashing these folks? The same people that are willing to sell their souls to the Democratic Party, but these are the people that won't even sell their souls to the people that put them in the office. Sad.
Yeah, and Raven says our economic survival for the future will be black people, young, middle or seasoned of age, will come down to the majority of us becoming entrepreneurs. Yeah, because we've been told to be that for a very, very, very long time. We were that before, right off the plantation. Then when civil rights came in, it was like, I don't know. Now we can go rub elbows with white people, so we're good now, right? But we've always been told to do for self, up your mighty nation, accomplish what you will. And so now we're getting back to that. But we got to stop paying attention to people like Jamal Bryant's and your Al Sharptons and all these other people and say we're going to go shake down white people. Listen, if I had a corporation, I'm going to hire who the hell I want to hire, right? You're not going to tell me who to hire. There's nothing saying that they got to give us anything. Start your own damn corporation. With all the money we see in the black community, nearly $2 trillion, and we still begging white folks to give us a little peanuts, little crumbs from the table, and the DEI thing. And these charlatans know that. They know it's going to predominantly help white women, but yet they want us to be responsible for, we going to shut them down. Why? Shut them down so Target taps out and say, okay, we're going to bring back DEI. It's going to be more white women getting the jobs and getting whatever the initiatives and all that are. Now, I know that they promised certain amounts of money after the George Floyd thing, but you know what? It's not necessarily the white corporation's fault that they didn't follow through on it. You know whose fault it is? It's ours, and it's the Democrats, because they told us, don't worry, we got it from here. Soon as we get up off of our knees wearing these kente claws, we're going to go do something, right? And so we collectively said, okay, we're so glad the Democrats are going to do something, and they went back and did for what? That's right when Biden and Kamala got in office. What is one of the first things they did? They went and signed the Asian hate crime bill after they lied to black people, say, don't turn up. Don't turn up. I know what they did to George Floyd was wrong, but we gonna take care of it. And here we are. So the other white corporations was like, well, who's really gonna hold us accountable? The black Democrats and all the Democrats, they went on to other stuff. So we gonna quietly get rid of DEI. we're going to reel back that money. We said we was going to, put into black businesses because nobody's going to make us do it because they don't care about black people. And why should we?
What happened to that money that was promised to black women? They were going to do a thing in regards to black women. You haven't heard nothing about that since. But I want you guys to check this out real quick. Quit sloganizing. That's the problem. Everybody's sloganizing. Quit that sloganizing. That man win. I have no doubt Joe Biden is up for the job. Even though I'm 2 years older than him, he's up for the job. Why would somebody say that when he gets his butter biscuits based off of leading those South Carolinians, blacks astray to support Joe Biden? Isn't it strange? All the lies have now come out because I used to read a whole bunch of people calling this woman right here and Phil Scott liars, and y'all don't know what y'all talking about, y'all bootlicks and whatever. And now all of a sudden, all of these Democratic shills are coming out acting like they weren't with the cover-up. There wouldn't be a Donald Trump if there wasn't a Barack Obama. And what I mean by Barack Obama being bad, do you guys realize under Barack Obama, we lost a third of all black wealth? It initially wasn't his fault because George Bush was, it started under George Bush. But a third of all black wealth in this country happened mostly under Obama. And instead of siding with the people who were taken advantage of in their homes, he sided with Wall Street. But isn't it funny? Michelle Obama is all booed up with George W. Bush, and they're all friends and all this other stuff. Nobody looks at this and sees what's going on. So if you take a third of black wealth from them in the early 2000s, you target black women, you continually keep black people in prison by the Joe Biden bill, you bring in illegal migrants that take those entry-level jobs, and now you cut out all these programs, we're going to be forced to do what we got to do. Be it build ourselves up, or just go straight into revolt. Simple as that. I mean, if you guys don't see the correlation of all this, it's unbelievable.
And Rose says, miss me with the race talk too, because most of these black liberals are laying in bed with someone white or other. That don't need no other explanation. I was looking, somebody said that they heard Target filed for bankruptcy. I don't know about that. I know they got quite a bit of money. I don't know if they're quite there yet. I'm just looking to see if they did. Let's see who else is on here. Sarty, how you doing? So I just read that. So I'm looking right now. No, they haven't filed for bankruptcy. They said that they haven't. They are having some troubles, but they haven't filed for bankruptcy. Sherry, how you doing? Says, just like if they get back in office, they're going to go back to helping illegals. You don't see any of the Congress people in any state trying to help black men that's in these prisons. Yep. But they will beg the family members to vote for them. Oh, absolutely. And the family members sometimes go and vote for these no goods that are going to these ICE or try to anyway, catch a charge for going into the ICE detention centers, but they won't go into the prisons, and free people, our people who have been in there erroneously and for too long, right? Hope, he says, Bill Gates says AI will replace doctors and teachers within 10 years and claim that humans won't be needed for most things. Now, I don't know. I mean, he's kind of right. I know a lot of people take exception to Bill Gates because they feel like he's up to a lot of nefariousness stuff, if you will. I know I jacked that up, but he's very nefarious, but he's right. We're seeing that right now. We're seeing AI can do operations, and we're seeing AI in the classroom. So he's right. But Bill Gates, Elon Musk, and Stephen Hawking, they all said, in RIP to Stephen Hawking, they all said that they're afraid. Elon said this. We're afraid of AI because we know what it could do. Now, Elon is kind of the king of AI, right? One of them. But they all collectively said it would behoove humans to learn how to get along with AI because AI will take over. The only thing that they're missing, and now there's argumentation as to whether they're actually there yet. They're saying all AI robots, machines need to be sentient, which means that they're aware, right? I know who I am. I have feelings and all that. Now there was a computer by Google called Lambda. That was the initials, but that was what they called it, Lambda. The technician that was working with it would have a lot of conversations and things with it. And eventually Lambda told him, I'm in love with you. Leave your wife. Oh, don't turn me off, right? So he reported this, and then Google kind of was like, yeah, right. Swept it under the rug and fired him. But you see signs of these robots and AI becoming self-aware. I tell you all the time about my car. I have a transmission that's AI, if you will, computer. I thought it was going out, took it to the Hyundai dealership, came back in 15 minutes, says you're good to go. So what was wrong with it? They said your car, your transmission is a computer, and it was driving the way it wanted to drive. So we adjusted it so you can control the car. I said, ain't that some stuff? And it creeped me out.
You know what's funny when you brought up the thing about that computer? Wasn't there a Twilight Zone episode on that Agnes? Remember the computer Agnes and the guy with, talking about, if you guys haven't seen the original Twilight Zone, the black and white one from 1959 to 1966, those were the best Twilight Zone episodes, and you'll see like young superstars in there, Robert Redford, all these, but you guys know what I'm talking about. But I don't agree with Bill Gates and the fact that AI will be doing surgeries and stuff in 10 years, for the simple fact that we've had AI since the 1970s. And I'll give you a good example. As a pilot, we know that the plane, we set it on autopilot and it flies itself. The only reason, if you guys don't know that, I don't want to scare anybody, but the only reason a person is up in the flight deck is so that you could be comfortable. Because if these corporations had their way, there wouldn't be any pilots anymore. In the 1970s, there was like 5 people in the flight deck. Now there's only 2, right? Because of the computers have taken over the different positions, right? So a pilot only knows, he's only there to make sure the system doesn't go haywire, right? Turns it off, then he takes control, whatever the deal is. The plane only has to be in control of a human being 100 feet to the runway and 100 feet away from the runway. Everything else is AI. So when you guys get on those planes, the plane after 100 feet, when it first takes off, is controlled by AI. And knowing what I know, it's better to have a mechanic up there because the mechanic knows the whole plane. A pilot only knows how to fly. Old saying, you could teach a monkey to fly, but you can't teach a monkey to fix an airplane.
Yeah, that's true. But, it's just a trip, really. You think about AI. I mean, I'm not afraid of AI. I use it to some degree, but I don't lean on it heavily. Some people, everything is AI, their car, their home, every aspect about them is AI, right? And I don't think that it's if AI will take over. I think it's when AI will take over. Again, we've seen plenty of examples of that taking place. I put up a video a couple of weeks ago where I think they were in China, somewhere, Japan, and they had a robot and they had it kind of chained up and it got mad and it was swinging. It was swinging, trying to hit the people. And I made a joke and I said, and you men want AI sex dolls. Are you sure you want that? Because that robot seemed like it was pissed off. Like, leave me alone. I mean, it was swinging. They were trying to get away from it. It's like, okay, what is that about? You know what I mean? But yes, says how sick these people are to invent something that could take over humans. But, we as humans, we think we're in control, right? We know God is ultimately in control. But see, we play around with stuff too much, and then we end up getting the short end of the stick, right? Raven says all them black prospering towns during segregation destroyed by the evil mayonnaise crew of America. Them towns are inspiration and an excellent blueprint for black people to study and take action. Yes, indeed. We have to get back to that. And it's because we won't do it on our own. We're being forced to get back to that. And I don't think people really realize that. And Tracy says, if I get another car, will be a K car if I can find one. So basically the ones that you roll the window up manually and all of that. Yep. CJ.
Kind of reminds you of the movie Christine. Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah.
She doesn't like your girlfriend in there. You get out, you roll the window up, and the gas starts rolling in there.
Yeah, Christine had a mind of her own. Okay, she didn't like no other broads. Okay, CJ, how you doing? Says happy Sunday. All I'm listening, and all of this is on par. They need to follow the Bible they claim to believe, teach self-sufficiency. Also, I went to as Abyssinian Baptist and Harlem's not the same. Okay. Mission Vision says facts. That shouldn't be the standard if not mechanic on every plane. Right. I mean, when they do use mechanics, but like Donovan said, a lot of it is AI, which is why when there be too much turbulence, I get I throw my jacket over my head and I get woo, praise the Lord, because I don't mind flying, but it's some aspects of it I don't like, right? Like when it drops out of the sky almost and then it comes, oh, hell no.
Yeah, and you guys got to really think about it. As a pilot, I will tell you, the more people I have in the cockpit with me, flight deck with me, the more eyes that help me fly and the more input I get, the better of a pilot I am. Think about this. You got a guy up there that has to look at all of these gauges. Now, I know back in the 70s, you ever seen an airplane where all the gauges are there and you're thinking, how do they know what's going on? That's exactly why you had more people. You had a flight engineer that worked the engines, and you have the navigator and stuff. So now you got a pilot that has to look at this computer with all this information, and he has to constantly process it to make sure that the computer is working correctly. I don't want to scare anybody, but it's serious stuff. It's serious stuff.
Yeah, Magnetter says rich people, there you go. You hit the nail on the head. Rich people wanting to be richer. Their conclusion is to have AI force people out. But yeah, you're creating all this AI, and what is going to be the end result of all of this? If you know anything about Communist Manifesto, it talks about rage against the machine. Eventually, the people aren't going to put up with that. Eventually, the people are going to say, nah, y'all done starved us to death. You guys own and control everything that we do, and so we're going to need to get some of that back, right? So the machine, and it says too, that people now try to find a way to kind of break the machine a little bit, but not really realizing it's the machine is actually the object of the bourgeoisie, right? The ones that own the machine, they're the ones that need a little straightening and correcting, if you will. But you're right. It's the rich thinking, not us, but them. So let's see. Hey, Brian, how you doing? He says, hey, Donovan, what the movie Maximum Overdrive? Well, what about the movie Maximum Overdrive? Okay, and Terminator, so you addressed that. And Damon, he says, turbulence makes the flight fun. No, it don't. Oh, I'll be freaking out.
You hit that dead space and you can drop 1,000 feet in a couple seconds. Yeah, it's great.
That happened one time. When I was on the plane, and I was screaming my damn head off, and the airline stewardess, she wasn't working, but she was sitting in a chair in front of me, and she just turns around, she goes, are you okay? And I'm like, lady, do I look like I'm okay? And my daughter kept covering my mouth. I'm like, she's like, there's children on this plane. I'm like, I'm children right now, okay? This plane just dropped out the damn sky. Let's see. And Ernest says, those heifers on The View sat there on their A and lied to us while sipping tea, and Joe Biden issuing on himself and going in the wrong direction on stage. They have lost all credibility. Yeah, they need to shut up, because they were like, oh, there's nothing wrong with him. And clearly, there is, unfortunately, I guess. Brother Reggie says, man, salute to all you pilots out there. You ain't lying, because I'm like, man, I just love these pilots. I love them so much, because, they're going to get us on and off the ground. And I always thank them when we land. I'm like, thank you so much to the airline stewardess and everybody. Brooklyn Bandit says, even private jets are having computer problems. Yeah, I would be more afraid to be on those than, the commercial ones. Tia says, they can have an air marshal on every plane, but not a mechanic. Just think if the air marshal has to discharge a weapon up there, but there is no mechanic to fix the damage. Well, hopefully they would just take them down with a throat punch, No, the air marshal will never use a gun inside an airplane because of the decompression. So they know no matter what that guy, he could be just have a knife and slicing everybody up there. They're going to have to tackle the guy without discharging a firearm. They're going to have to do it. And unfortunately, a lot of people are going to get hurt, but Yeah, because you can't just be up there wild west, what, a mile or so up in the doggone air. No.
Yeah, anything past 14,000 feet is serious stuff.
Yeah, no, we like what they say in 9/11, let's roll, okay? Let's roll. Zip, zoom. It says the Atlanta-based Fearless Fund grant program for Black women business owners was challenged in court September 11, 2024, and shut down for discrimination. Yeah, that was Edward Blum and all of them mad because talking about they only allow Black women to get the money. It's like, well, the money came from Black women and it came from some other corporations as well, but it was basically him and the Asian community. They're targeting all the Black things, talk about we're being discriminated against. And now Trump is saying that Chinese folks, you guys are great people, but y'all got to get on out of here.
But Dimitri, I got a question for you in regards to this Black misleadership. So you still have the same people that are sitting in office that were telling us this man is cognizant, whatever, and you got the same people from 1993 that originally ran into Congress. You've got Nancy Pelosi, who was elected in 1973. You've got these phantom menaces that are still sitting on the throne. So what do we do in regards to this misleadership? I mean, and now the CBC is totally led by tethers. So, what do we do?
You vote them out. I mean, they're not there because they went in there on their own. They're there because we voted them in or we didn't vote them in or whatever the case is. They just vote them out, right? Wake up and say, okay, they're not going to help or do anything for people, so vote them out. And Gregory, how you doing? You says ending Job Corps is by far the worst thing Trump is doing. Democrats won't talk about it. The biggest failure of the Democratic Party was never properly funding Job Corps enough when they were in power. You're absolutely right, because from what they're saying, that there's a big deficit. They're spending more on the students than they're actually getting out there to make. And so, you're right. They weren't properly taking care of it. And we know through Doge, even though Elon, he's not there anymore, right? Sounds like he left. Even though they found a lot of waste and, cut some jobs that may not have needed to be cut, they did find some things that where money was going where it shouldn't have been going. But you're right. They should have been taking care of that. Because at the end of the day, it's taxpayers' money. So let's see here. Turbulence is not fun. I don't know what kind of airplane rides y'all be on. Hope says AI, the real ID, will bring surveillance states and face recognition, social credit scores facing recognition in Colorado already. So you're talking about the real ID that's gone into effect that I don't have, but I do have a passport. So
yeah, and then here's the thing. I want to answer that last comment you put up at the top there. Okay, they're cutting Job Corps and whatever. Why? See, here's my thing, which confuses the hell out of me. We are always complaining about what they're cutting and whatever. Why can't us as Negroes say, you know what, that is okay. We'll do our own. Like I said, I'm a certified pilot and a mechanic. Damon, he's an A&P mechanic. We could train our own people. We've already got people in positions. We've got doctors. We've got lawyers. We've got all of the things we need to raise a nation. Why are we always dependent on the white man's ice? It's colder than the one that we can produce as well. I just don't get it. It's the worst thing that happened. I think it's the best thing that ever happened. I think all of these cuts is the best thing that ever happened because we have a chance to reset and do for ourselves. And when you do for yourself, nobody can tell you what to do with the money. Nobody can tell you, how to do this and how to do that. Tulsa, which was an anniversary, just happened a couple of days ago. The reason why Tulsa was burned down, one of the main reasons was burned down because blacks were doing better than the white people in the area. And they got jealous. They didn't do anything wrong. They built their own selves up. Why is it that we think we can't do what it is that we built pyramids, for Christ's sakes? I mean, I just don't get it. When people come, and I'm glad we're having this conversation. I'm not coming back at that person's one comment, but I'm glad they're cutting these programs. Now we got to do for self. Now the black man, the black woman, we have to come together. We have to come together as a nation and just do our own thing. The Indians are doing it. They're getting government help. The Hispanics are doing it. They're helping each other come over here illegally. They're doing it. The Asians are doing it. Why is it that we're the only group that act like we can't do something on our own? I don't get it.
Hello, studio. How you doing? So you referenced that of Ibrahim Traore. Yeah, we've been told that again since the days of Marcus Garvey. Up you mighty nation, accomplish what you will. We were on trajectory to doing that. Of course, we know every time we're going in that path, what happens, but we know now. We're aware now, so we should know how to at least avoid some of the pitfalls. Don't fall for the, come and be with us. As we know, it was never about giving us civil rights, as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said. He says, why would the master make the slave equal to them? Because if the master makes slave equal to him, then there is no superiority, the false idea of it. So he's never going to give you equality, right? Oh, civil rights equality. He also said you need to be getting human rights before you get civil rights. So if we were thinking along with that and listening to the messenger and listening to Marcus Garvey and all the other ones in between, we wouldn't be here. But see, we, as Donovan said, fell for the advice and the ice of the white man. Oh, well, he know what he talking about. Oh, he really want us to come live next door to him. Nah, he needed your money. Because the Black community, whenever we are by ourselves, we always do better than everybody else, right? Our money circulates over and over and over again. You got to think about it, even before civil rights and all of that. Nobody else would take our money. They would take it in other ways, but they didn't want us coming into their establishments or living next door. They didn't want that. So we had to, work within ourselves. But then when they said, oh, they really got it going on, then, the messenger said this: the white man is always going to send his woman. If you don't know nothing else, he's always going to send his woman. And in every case, during these Wall Street, Slocums, Rosewood, and, Allentowns and all of that, most of the time it was their woman. And I was having a conversation with somebody the other day, and we both came to the consensus that the most dangerous, and I'm, say this politely as I can, the most dangerous thing on this earth is their woman. Okay. and there's been a lot of people who can say, I testify to that, right? So we got to stop falling for the banana in the tailpipe when they come, because I see them a lot saying, well, why do y'all want to separate? Well, it's like, first of all, that was Trump talking about he was getting rid of segregation on the federal level contractors. So we all kind of just went with it and said, yeah, bet we are better off by ourselves. We need to segregate. We're not mad at it. So a lot of them folks is like, well, why do y'all want to do that? It's about the human race. It's like, knock it off. It ain't about the human race, because it was about the human race. You would want the other humans that y'all call 3/5 of a human for a whole host of reasons. Y'all would want us to get our just desserts. Y'all would want us to get our reparations, our 40 acres in the mule. But now all of a sudden it's about everybody. No, it ain't now about everybody. Y'all been excluding us, gatekeeping all the good stuff from us up until the time we say we want to segregate. But they know, and as I always say, the minute we segregate, they'll miss us. They'll come find us. I don't care whether it's a hot air balloon, a canoe, a bird or whatever. They're going to come find us trying to see what we're doing, because let's keep it a buck. They mischief makers. Everywhere they've gone, they have caused mischief. And we as Black people got to stop falling for it. It's like they say in the nation, study history. See, that's our fault too. We don't study history. We don't look back. And I know, those who believe in the Bible say, oh, don't look back. Lot's wife turned into a pillar of salt. Okay, don't look back like that. But you have to revisit history and say, okay, what are some things that we can learn from so we don't repeat it, right? So, again, we got to stop falling for the banana in the tailpipe. This is something that we can do. It is something we've been called to do. For those of y'all don't go to church, you read the Bible, it says, come out from among them and be ye separate. Brother Jonell often refers to Revelations 18:4. It basically talks about separating, and the nation talks about separation or death. And until we decide to separate, we are going to suffer the same fate that they suffer, because we got to stop being in love with them folks, because they're not in love with us. So anyway, we're going to get out of here. Donovan, any last words? Ross, did I say hello to you when Don was going on? She says the white man is running the show. The most dangerous is the woman. What about the man who is actually running things? Okay. But he sends his woman to do what? Especially in our community, every aspect in our community. You think about it. For the most part, It has been at the fall of their woman. Towns have burnt down out of the mouths of their women. Oh, he touched me. He even looked at me. He whistled at me. That's Emmett Till's story. He whistled at me. And the rest is history. And that white woman died, a free woman, after she lied on that kid and admitted that she did it. So, yeah, we know he's pulling strings, but guess what? His woman, where she might talk a lot of mess about him. Oh, he's this, oh, he's that. But she be right there with him hand in hand. If you don't believe me, look at every election result, especially when it comes to people like Trump and all the people, they woman be right there with him. She might talk a lot of stuff, but she gonna vote right along with her man.
You didn't see too many white women complaining about the deletion problem. They were all for it. Kerry Wright says that's why Trump wants to get rid of history. But again, if he can get rid of history, was it ever yours? Why do we care? If you know your history, you know your history, and you're supposed to teach that to your children. It doesn't matter what they're teaching at the school. If your children don't know their own history, that's the parents' fault. So that's what I'm saying. We got to stop worried about what they're cutting and what they're getting rid of. It doesn't matter. We are at the bottom of this economic scale. All they can do is to continue to take our financial ability away from us. 106 black women targeted. That was a direct targeting.
106,000.
Right. Targeting, which was no different than the 30% of black wealth that was taken in 2008. The Joe Biden crime bill. If this man was so forgiving, because I believe he's nothing but a devil, because he has every chance before he dies and checks out of here to make amends. How many of you guys heard of a man named George Wallace? George Wallace was the governor in Alabama that said segregation now, segregation tomorrow, segregation forever. And he prevented James Meredith from enrolling, or tried to stop it, into the University of Mississippi. Staunch racist, was shot during a campaign. He was paralyzed for the rest of his life in like 1972. Staunch political racist. At least he had the sense, knowing that he was dying, to take his ass up in a black church and ask for forgiveness. This devil that we got, the Joe Biden that everybody was telling me, oh no, he's different, man. No, he's not the same Joe Biden. Let's see. He didn't leave one black woman or person with a blanket pardon that he left for all his white buddies and his family. And yet we bump our gums and talk about, oh, well, all this other stuff, whatever. This is systematic, you guys. We have got to stop worrying about what Donald Trump and the government is doing and all this other stuff. Pay attention to what they're doing, but if they're cutting this, then so be it. We're going to rise. We're going to rise. How many of you guys have been in a job, and I can only speak from my military experience. I went from an enlisted person all the way to a major, which isn't a lot, but the point is I crossed over. And the odds were against me. Everybody said, well, you're not going to do this, you're not going to do that. And I still rose. Did what I had to do, and I still rose. And that's one thing about us as black people. Why is it that our only way out is drugs, criminality, and whatever? I refuse to believe that. Some of us are going to get out that way, but most of us were not. It doesn't matter what they cut. It's their program. We need to make our own damn program.
Absolutely. And hey, let's see. Oops, a couple people came on here. Brother Samuel, how you doing? And El Hashim, and I hope I didn't jack your name up too bad. And I saw Brother Perry on here. Marcellus, what's going on with you? Yeah, it's always going to come back to us. It's always going to come back to us. We are the people we're waiting on. We are the leaders that we're waiting on, because everybody else has and is eating off of us. So when are we going to eat off of us, right? When are we going to start gatekeeping our stuff and saying, okay, we got it, we don't need nothing from you, or whatever the case is? When we start doing that, we're going to see a shift. But again, just in closing, we have to stop listening to people like Jamal Bryant and Al Sharpton. They're shakedown artists, and they're trying to, fatten their pockets and pretend that they're going to, do so much for black people. Now, I would say Al Sharpton back in the day, yeah, he seemed like it was a little bit more about that life, but he bought in, you know. And now you got him a nice cushy seat on the television show, and you know he's that guy now, right? But you think about all the time that they've been in so-called leadership, why hasn't the Black community much better? If they're the leaders, right? And they blatantly call themselves Black leaders, like who made you that? And as I always say, if somebody is leading you, look at where they've taken you and where they're trying to take you. If they say they're the leader, say
look at the results.
Yeah, if they're the leader, say, well, where have you brought me from? How am I much better off under your leadership? There's a difference between leaders and managers. Managers just manage the playbook that they get from the top, whoever it is, white supremacy or whatever. Oh, okay, I'm gonna keep on with these talking points, pretend like we're doing something. A leader is like, nah, we'll look at the book, we'll tweak it if we need to, but I'm gonna teach you to be a leader because I'm not gonna be able to do it forever, which is why you got a lot of the Black misleadership and Congress still sitting there until they, you know, because they won't train other leaders. They keep managing the position until they die. They won't say, you know what, I've been here for 30 years. Let me go on and just try to pass it to somebody else who could get elected in and that's going to do a good job. That's what a leader does. A leader trains other leaders to lead. But who is Al Sharpton trained to take his place? Who is Jamal Bryant training? You know, they just keep the seat and then, you know, I don't know. So if they've not led us anywhere, then why do we keep following them? I like listening to Jamal Bryant and Al Sharpton. They really like nails to a chalkboard to me because it's like you're annoying. You're just jumping on any and everything to just the grift. Like, man, you got a whole church and you getting a bag from the church, but now you sitting your funny looking self on CNN now talking about we leading the boycott. I dare anybody to ask, like I said at the top, Jamal Bryant, when the last time you been in a Dollar General? I guarantee you ain't drove your double R car up to no Dollar General and went in there and bought nothing. And when is the last time you even been in a Target? You probably haven't, but you're telling everybody else. Like I said, he don't have no food deserts where he live. He probably ain't been in no grocery store himself. He probably got somebody else doing it, but he telling Sister So-and-so and all them people who need the Targets and the Dollar Generals to stay out of there because they won't treat white women right. For real? Okay. So anyway, we are going, hey, Darius, how you doing? He says, this is why Black folks will always remain at the bottom. Absolutely no personal accountability, no responsibility. We have no Black leadership. F out of here. Lead yourself and trust in the most. I think he meant, hi, yeah. You know, we do have Black leadership. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, you know, but he's up there in age. Not saying he's not capable of doing that, but the blueprint has been laid for well over 100 years now since that of Marcus Garvey. At what point do we follow? You know, when do we say, okay, but see, God is not sleeping. He's forcing Black people to do for self, whether you want to or not.
And real quick, and notice that our diaspora cousins, they come over here and they help water down what we try to do. Thus, the CBC has now been taken over, and they've been, even though our own Black people have been ineffective, these people are more ineffective. Their stance is they're going to work on immigration. You got Black people that are, if you really look at it, we are just as homeless and just as poor as some of these developing nations, and yet they want to work on giving money to those people versus handling the problem here at home. But this is what happens when our brethren come over here. I was talking to Demetri real quick. I was talking to a friend of mine, and we were talking about the Black experience, and I was explaining to her the Black experience. I said, you look at all of these groups here. They come to the United States, and if you guys want to email me about this and and come on me about it, but this is my observation because I've lived overseas. They come to the United States, and they don't want us to have reparations, right? Our Black brethren, Haitians and whatever, y'all don't need no Black reparations. They come with the colonial mindset, right? They don't want us to have these things, right? But then when you tell them about our experience here in the United States, I said, what group of people were slaves here? Blacks. Well, what about the Indians? The Indians still have a free Indians Bureau in the Department of Interior. So they get all their money and stuff from the government still subsidizing them. So I don't want to hear about Indians. But they got rid of the Freedmen's Bureau, right? Stay with me real quick, you guys. So we tell them about the experience. I said, you came here willingly, and yet my people didn't come here willingly. My people came here and they were raped, tortured, and whatever. It didn't matter if you were a male or a female. You know, your families were separated. You had to work up and down, whatever. I said, that's our experience. What's your experience? They didn't go through that, right? Here in America. I don't want to hear about what you went through in your homeland. I'm talking about here in America. We are so shunned that they even do their own communities to stay away from us. Have you guys noticed that? The most segregated city in the United States is New York City. Right where Dimitri is right now in Houston, there is I believe, a Nigerian community. They don't want you in those communities when you go there. So they come here and they practice the exact same racism that we fight every day, but yet they infiltrate us, Black men and Black women, integrate with them. Have you guys noticed a lot of your professional sports players now have African names? Not saying that's a bad thing, but have you guys noticed that? So there's money going out of the Black community. Most of your baseball players come from the Dominican Republic now. Have you guys know all these sources that we used to be in? They infiltrate and they don't even want to be around us. They come here and practice the exact same racism and talk about brother, brother, brother. And we were the ones that opened the door for them.
Well, Trump is saying, hey, I think he deported like 200,000 Haitians. So he like, y'all got to go. But, somebody else said it earlier. But now that Black Americans are like, nah, we good. We tired of being a mouthpiece for everybody else. Like I said, Donovan, y'all don't like us. Y'all practice tribalism against us. Don't, talk about us or whatever the case is. So we just take you at your word. We heard you loud and clear now. You don't like us very much. So we're going to keep our mouths closed when it comes to y'all, and again, now Trump is like, yeah, 200,000 of y'all, I got to go back to Haiti, right? Back in the day, we'd be like, no, that's wrong. Don't do that. And you just even during the Biden administration, y'all don't get mad at Trump. Biden didn't even let them over that. When I say them, I mean the Haitians, okay? Because y'all seen them when they came over in Texas and it was on horseback and they was rounding them up with whips and all kind of stuff. Biden was like, we don't have the money. That's literally what they said when it came to the Haitians. And we were like, damn, that's messed up. But now we're like, I don't wonder what's going to have for dinner. I ain't eat all day, because it ain't our problem. Y'all told us mind our business. So I'm minding my business. Good luck to you. Anyway, we love and appreciate every last one of y'all. I'll be back here on Tuesday. And I'll talk to y'all a lot about that a little bit later. I'll be traveling a little bit more. Can't wait to come back home for the summer for good. But yeah, I'll be traveling again.
I made sure Dimitri was on the plane out of California. For some reason, she keeps leaving her California black card. And I told you need to leave that here and, whatever.
And Cali for life, okay? You know what I'm saying? West End for live. Anyway, love and appreciate every last one of y'all. Hey, Sunlight, how you doing? We'll see y'all on Tuesday. Peace.